Hi, and welcome to Enriched Perspective with Mike and Talesha Wallace, where we seek to shift paradigms through the exploration of biblical principles. I'm Mike.
And I'm Talesha.
Welcome to the podcast.
Okay, so today we're just going to be a little random. Just conversations, different things we've been thinking about lately. No script, no production, no structure, just talking. Yeah, so I am excited to announce this is actually our 11th episode, so way to go, Mike.
Yay!
We did it.
All right.
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. Just with the hustle and bustle of the life that we have, we still were able to sit down and produce some high quality, I believe, episodes. And
Let another man praise thee. All right.
well, that we were able to do it considering the lifestyle that we have. So just a little relaxed today, just kind of jumping into a few things that we kind of talk about off to the side and want to share with our listening audience, and definitely want to say thank you to everyone that's listening. And it would be nice to know who actually is listening.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So maybe you could reach out to us at lifeinspiredproductions@gmail.com or leave us a message on our Facebook page and Risk Perspectives. Just let us know who's listening. Just give us some comments and your thoughts on what you think so far. That'd be really appreciated.
Indeed.
Yeah, so welcome. So, what's been on your mind lately, babe? I mean, Michael. I mean, we comfortable today, so you might hear a few babes there. So he's my husband, so it's legal.
Yes, I am.
So yeah.
So what's been on my mind lately? Nothing. Just kind of some of the things that you mentioned. Just thankful for being able to do 10 episodes so far. Definitely looking forward to doing more in the future. Excited about the opportunity just to kind of have a casual conversation as well.
Yeah.
I think there's so many things that we go over and we talk about in a casual conversation that by the time we get to the point where we're ready to record, we forget.
Right.
So it'd be pretty interesting to see what comes up and kind of hopefully some good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because we start talking and we'll finish be like, man, we should have recorded that. That's a podcast right there.
Right.
Never fails. But anyway, I know one of the things we talked about that I really hold near and dear to my heart is kind of the topic of like just being a dreamer, as I am. I am a dreamer. I like to imagine things, and I'm a creative person, as you would say, and Michael is more of a down-to-earth reality type of individual. And that can clash sometimes with some people. We've had conversations about this, and if it's not balanced, it could be an issue.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that you are a dreamer and I am extremely practical and logical.
That's the word.
And methodical in the way that I choose to do things. So I've had to adjust for sure to give you some space, and also had to learn how to communicate what I'm thinking and what I see to you in a way that you would understand and appreciate and not want to beat me up for.
Yeah, and not call you a dream killer.
yeah, you called me that a few times.
Oh, well, that's when I first was starting out. Everybody, I was trying to do plays and just do it big right off the bat, and you were like, no, pull it back, and I just couldn't understand for the life of me, why would you try to stop me? Why would you try to suppress my dreams and abilities? And I couldn't understand the practical side. So it could cause some clashing in relationships if these things aren't really talked about, or yeah.
Well, it's just taking the time to understand where both parties are coming from.
Yeah.
I think that was the one thing that kind of saved us from having really blowout, knockdown, drag out, arguments, as opposed to just having some discussions.
Yeah, I used to say or think that, do you think it's easier for like a man to be the dreamer, or because they're like like when we talk about the roles in the household, usually the man, from our teachings and uh, experiences or exposure, the man is the head of the house. So if a man is a dreamer and they decide they want to pick their whole family up and move to California because he's going to be a superstar, is that okay? Or, like how you think it'd be different if it was the roles were switched? Like if, say, I was practical and you're the man. I mean, well, you're the
Yeah, I'm still
man.
the man.
I mean, like you were the dreamer. You're the dreamer. You know,
Yeah.
you have
No.
to think about the whole picture if you're going to be in a relationship.
Yeah, I think it would be different. Um, as much as we don't like to admit it and own up to it, a lot of times men do take advantage and of their stature and their position,
Hmm.
and they do abuse it at times. They have ideas, or we have ideas, we have thoughts, we have different ambitions that we want to pursue, and we don't always take into consideration how it's going to impact the family,
Yeah.
not just from a monetary standpoint, but from a holistic standpoint, like you were talking about, like looking at it from the perspective of, what if my wife, has other visions of how the family should be, or if you have children like in our case, I mean, you have quite a few kids, and it'd be difficult for us to just up and like uproot the family and move to a different location, especially without having that support system around you. Um, but sometimes we do it anyway, impulsively,
Hmm.
especially to your point, if you have the husband that is the dreamer.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, we don't feel like we need to, what's the word, have that conversation.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't feel like we need to adjust our dreams or our vision or our ambition for the betterment of the household. We figure our ambition and our dreams is for the betterment of the household, and that can definitely be a bad move.
Yeah. But like, in speaking on the same terms of roles, so what if the woman makes more money than the man,
So
and
he's just
she
gonna go right there, huh?
she'd be like, is it the person that makes the more money that makes the rules, or is it really still that set order, and who's still in charge? And
Yeah, and I think that's the part that we have to really think about a little bit differently than probably have in the past, is that who sets the rules and who in charge.
yeah,
Everybody's trying to, you know, gain that position of power, strength, authority. You want to be the one that call the shots, and that's
hmm,
not really how it should be viewed, and that's not how it should be. What's the word I want to use? And engaged. You
hmm,
shouldn't be engaging in a relationship with the intention of trying to be the one with the upper hand or the one
yeah,
that has the advantage. It really should be a mutual respect for one another, and it should be us striving together, not
yeah,
against one another. But to answer your question, when it comes down to who makes the most money, sometimes it can be a challenge.
yeah,
And because a lot of times that's how we associate it, that's how we distribute power in the household, by who makes the most money.
right,
Because if you make more money than me, I can't really tell you that we ain't gonna do that.
right. That's my money.
Right. I mean, quick to say that. It's always funny to me, since you own the subject. Why is it that for women it's
It's
always
my money.
their money, but when it comes down to the man, no, that's your
It's
money.
our
It's
money.
our money, and you got to pay the bills, and you got to take care of all the responsible stuff. But I can do whatever I want to do with my money. And again, to your point, when I get mad or I want to pull that card, it's my money. I do whatever I want to
Right.
do.
That's
I make my
right.
own money.
I earned that money.
It's
It's
like, so
mine.
did I. And some men do that too.
Yeah.
They go about, living their life, even with the family, in such a way where it's from a very, and I'll just go ahead and say, a very selfish position,
Yeah.
because it's not your money on either side, husband or wife. It's our money.
Mm-hmm.
We are working together. And if we're
Yeah.
not working together, then what are we doing?
Right.
And
That's a good question.
and that's why it becomes so difficult. That's why it becomes so tierce. That's why it becomes so adversarial, because okay, now she is making more money than me, and depending on how I've been treating her and how I've been trying to wield my stick of authority based on having the most means or bringing in the most income, now she like, ah, ha 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 ha.
Tables turned.
And it'd be like that. What's that movie that Tyler Perry did?
Yeah, family that prays together.
No, the
The
other
family
one,
that prays.
the one where he was in a wheelchair. He was getting beat up.
Oh, Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the other one too. She made
Yeah,
all that
same thing.
money, but she was doing low down stuff to get it. But anyway,
Yeah, but she still was treating him like he was less than.
yeah,
And that's why we feel like we got to be the one making the most, because we don't want to be mistreated, or we don't want to be looked down upon, or we don't want to,
yeah.
be feel as if we are inferior in the
Mhm.
household. But the amount of money you make does
Yeah,
not determine your place in your stanchion, and it definitely doesn't cause you to be more superior or inferior.
yeah. That seems to be a I don't know. That's what we're used to seeing, I guess. It's
Yeah,
like whoever has the most money gets the most respect, gets the most power. It's like,
make all the decisions,
yeah,
and that should not be.
yeah,
Like we were talking, it really should be a thing where we're working together.
yeah.
When we talk about, especially decision making in the household,
Mhm.
I always say the husband has the unfortunate position of having the executive decision.
Yeah.
It's not always the most attractive or the most glamorous position to be in, because
Mhm.
you're trying to do what's best for your family.
Right.
You're always trying to look at things not only from a short-term view, but also a longer-term, bigger picture view.
Yeah.
Some things in the moment might seem to be a great idea and it might be fun, but the implications that it could, or the negative impact it could have in the long run, can be very devastating and damaging to the overall health of the household.
Mhm.
And as husband, you have to be looking to these things, looking out for the family in that regard, as
Yeah.
well as the wife should be doing the same thing.
Right.
And I always say, when it comes down to decision making, it's my responsibility as the husband. If I have a different view, if I have a different decision that I want to make, I
Mhm.
have to be able to convince you that what I'm saying is the right thing to do. It
Yeah.
ain't just do what I say because I'm the man.
Yeah.
No, it's let's sit down and let's reason and let's talk through it. Help me to understand where you're coming from. Help me to understand what you're thinking and why you're thinking this way. And then I'm going to in turn do the same. It's that respect that we have for each other,
Yeah.
and the desire for us to work again together
Right.
and be able to pull this weight together. And again, that's something that's just not always seen in the
Yeah.
household.
Yeah. I like when that space is created
Yep.
for both parties to speak up about how they feel about whatever you're trying to decide on. So that's nice to have that, to create that, because some people don't have that, or some people don't realize that you don't have to just say yes to everything. You
Mm-hmm.
have a voice. You can speak up. You can not agree, which is something we were talking about. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just be like, okay, whatever you say. I just want it to be peaceful. Yeah, sure,
And
no
I hate that with
problem.
a
Yeah,
passion.
yeah, okay, sure, fine. No, it's fine. And really inside it's like, oh my God, what in the world?
Yeah, like that time you almost let me run
Okay,
into the
here we
wall.
go. You still on that?
Yes, I'm still on that.
That was a long time
It
ago.
was very damaging. It really stuck with me.
That's because you had attitude.
Yes, I had an attitude, but that didn't mean you want to let us all die.
Well,
So for you all that don't know what happened, I'm gonna
oh
tell you the
God.
story. So you're coming back from an event, and
You-
I was
yeah.
very tired. It was very late at night. We were driving through Chicago, and I was
Mhm.
in my feelings. Yes,
Yes.
I admit it.
Because
I
I was
was
trying
in
to,
my
I was
feelings.
trying to talk to you to keep you woke, and you kept giving me short answers and being all mean.
I was being snippy and I was being short because I was tired.
I was trying to keep you woke,
Well, that was nice of you, but at the same time, I was trying not to stay woke too.
so I just stopped talking.
Anyways, yeah, you stop talking, and then you gonna sit there and watch me as my eyelids get heavier and heavier, and just looking dead in my face. Didn't say nothing, but you was gonna let me almost run into one of those walls, and that's when I knew you was a little bit off. But that's all right.
I just didn't appreciate the meanness.
well,
Guess we was all gonna die that night. Did
well,
we know who was for sure saved?
yeah. But just the fact that you was willing to let us all die was kind of baffling
I
to me.
wasn't willing to. You were driving.
But you was sitting right there. You saw me about to go to sleep.
You should have not been mean.
I was tired. So from that point, we've grown a lot.
Yeah, I've learned to speak up more now about how I feel, but there was times within our marriage where I would kind of just go with the flow and then rock the boat, don't say too much. But you have done a great job of creating that space and comfort and, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? confidence, whatever, to make me feel like um, I'm being heard and respected.
Well, it's the same thing for me though. I mean, as men, a lot of times everybody thinks we just say everything to come to our mind, or we're able to effectively address the points that we have, in a very mature and amicable fashion. All
Mm-hmm.
those big words. But the reality is sometimes we don't know what to say, and thoughts be running through our mind real fast, and our vocabulary get real short. So we
Mm-hmm.
just say whatever quickly and snippily to try to get our point across. And if we don't feel like we winning, we get angry, and sometimes we shut completely down. Like I was one of those ones that, like you said, I go into my bat cave, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they say, well, just don't say nothing. That's great for a season, but it can also cause issues if you don't learn somewhere along the way how to speak your piece and say what needs to be said
Yeah.
in a way that is respectful. Like I say, not when
Mm-hmm.
I'm angry. Everybody get real, articulate when they get mad. And again, you completely miss the whole point of the conversation or discussion, and you don't get what really needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like you say, you're in your feelings, I'm in my feelings. Now we saying a whole bunch of stuff, and then you start pulling all kinds of other stuff from way back when
Mm-hmm.
into the conversation that ain't got nothing to do with the conversation at hand. Now
Right.
you're really mad, and
Yeah.
now you got days of not speaking to each other because you done ticked each other off.
Right. But I think it's what's the worst part is even though you're not talking to each other, your mind is still rolling.
Oh, it don't stop.
And it's just like the more you keep thinking about stuff, the madder and madder you get, and the more you're not gonna say nothing because I'm mad. And then you think about
Mm-hmm.
something else, and you think like you say, pull back from years ago, and then you just mad.
Yeah, but we are blessed. So
But you got that's the way you defeat the enemy. You start talking,
absolutely,
and
and you give each other room to not sound good. Sometimes it sounds stupid.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes to not be able to, say it in the softest and the most responsible, or what's the word, reasonable manner, but just to get it
Mm-hmm.
out. And over time, as you develop that relationship, and as you begin to really learn one another, and as you begin to develop that mutual respect for one another,
Mm-hmm.
then it gets better. Then the communication gets richer. Then you're
Right.
not finding yourself stuck in those modes, moods, attitudes, that, cause all kinds of other issues,
Yeah.
and now you begin to work as a team, and you begin to work and see things as one,
Right.
because those type of arguments is what leads to that division,
Mm-hmm.
which now we all pull in ranks, and we're trying to figure out, okay, who with me, going to
Mm-hmm.
get the kids.
Oh Lord.
Mom got all the kids on her side, daddy ain't got nobody, so he go crack all his mama to get
Oh
her on his
God.
side. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
start calling everybody and Facebooking and TikTok
Texting.
texting. Everybody knows a fight going on in your home. And everybody
Mm-hmm.
pulling in ranks, and everybody looking at you
Taking
weird at the family
sides.
barbecue, and you don't know what's going on, and vice versa, getting
And
all these weird texts.
right, y'all done made up and be smiling. Everybody looking at y'all like,
Right, all these weird messages with innuendos in there. You're like, what you?
What you talking about? We're good.
But again, that starts with, just like all the other parts of this,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to be respectful of one another, learning how to speak your mind and speak your piece,
Mm-hmm.
without being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Men and women, like I say, we don't need to name calling, we don't need to bring up a whole bunch of stuff, but let's address the
Yeah.
situation. It's learning to really work together and to actually respect one another's opinions and views.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can be submissive to your husband. People think because I said I do, and because you said the vows, that all it just all magically works. I think
Oh.
men got this in their mind, like, because I said I do, I married you, didn't I?
Right.
It's like, so you think she just trusts you with everything in her life and her future and all that because she said I do? No, sorry. You
Yeah,
earn
you
that
gotta
over
work that
time.
thing.
Like you
Yeah.
said, you develop that. It's
Mm-hmm.
with every day showing up, being a part of her life, caring about her goals and her vision, her passions, her dreams, and sharing yours as well, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that there's that alignment there. Like I say,
Yeah.
and then sometimes the alignment comes from both of you having to and being willing to sacrifice certain things for the betterment of the household, for the
Right.
betterment of the union.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's just lost.
Yes, and we were talking about that too. About as far as if you decide to have children,
True.
who's would you stay home? Would you go to work? nowadays the term about women being able to have it all.
Yeah, you can't.
And yeah,
You just
it's
can't.
like, okay, something's going to give, something you're going to miss. Like now men are staying home with kids because we're talking about who makes the most
Hmm.
money. Yeah, different things have just changed,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So
the thing is the godly order hasn't changed, but it's just some of the different roles and aspects of the roles in the household have changed.
right.
And you have to respect, again, even if he's a stay-at-home dad, you still have to respect him as husband,
Mhm.
because husband goes beyond just providing financial means to the household. When you say provider, that's a lot of different things.
Right.
Providing protection, providing covering, providing support, providing stability. There's a lot of things that are involved when you talk about a provider.
Right.
You talk about a protector, being that covering and being that shield for your household, being the one in the front lines, taking the bullets or the arrows for the family, really sacrificing and giving of yourself for the betterment of the household. You know how humbling that can be for a
Yeah.
husband to, like, okay, for the betterment of the household,
Mhm.
I'm going to stay at home. I'll watch the kids. I'll make sure that the things that are in the household that are traditionally the woman's work, as we call it,
Right.
I'll take care of that, because I realize that you have something that's great. You have something that can go further than what I have can go.
Mhm.
So, as a sign and a token of my commitment to you, I'm willing to take a step back and
Wow.
let you shine in that regard. And you know he gonna take some bullets.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he
That's
gonna get it from every single direction,
yeah.
and he's protecting you as well.
What don't you think if that woman is doing that, it takes humility for her too.
Oh yes.
I mean, she's out there rocking and rolling, making all the money. You got to
Hmm.
come home and be like, okay, I'm I'm boss lady here, but at home I'm wife.
And again,
Is
that's
that
where, yeah.
can you be? Is that good? Can you do that? You know?
If your relationship is such, because again, you got to realize what submission means.
Yes, because that's where that oh you trying to be over me and treat me like
Nope.
like you got the wrong idea of what it means.
Because when you talk about being submissive,
Mhm.
having a submissive wife, that's where, of her own volition, of her own free will, she's willing to come under the leadership and the direction of her companion. That's submission.
Mhm.
Submission ain't, I'm doing it because I have to do it.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It's because I respect you and because I love you so much and because I honor you as my husband, as
Mhm.
my leader, my guide, whatever, however you want to say it. I'm
Mhm.
willing to bring my will in submission to yours,
Yeah.
and vice versa for
Yeah.
him.
I think there's a sacrifice for both parties involved.
Absolutely.
Everybody's sacrificing something. We honestly just can't have it all.
If it's going to work, both of you will have to.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's
Mm.
something that's going to go lacking in your vision of what you think your future is going to be. Like
Mhm.
when you talk about dreamer, say
Yes.
you can have these grandiose visions of you accomplishing all these things, but you have to, sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the realities of, where you are,
Right.
what the opportunities are, for you, and just be honest with yourself. And also, it's I think it's also an illusion sometimes that the
Mhm.
enemy places in front of our eyes.
Oh yeah.
He gets us so fixated on chasing, these big dreams, big visions, till we're not really able to appreciate the things that God has given us.
Right.
Many a good wives have been mistreated because
Mhm.
of, husband got this big vision and grandiose idea of what he want his life to be and how he think it should go, and he's
Mhm.
off pursuing this ideology of what he wants life to be, and he think, well, you should be happy because I'm still taking care of you,
Right.
and vice versa.
Mhm.
Wives go off and they do all of these things to try to create this grandiose vision of who they want to become,
Mhm.
and they forsake children or they forsake husband. Men forsake children and wife as well.
Right.
And it's like you really have to take the time to, like I say, when you make that connection, when you say them vows, you really have
Mhm.
to take time to understand where are we going,
Right.
and
Right.
it's not always um, going to be an easy conversation.
Right. And I think I learned this from you saying that in marriage you cannot be selfish.
Nope.
There's no room for selfishness if you want a good marriage.
You know,
This just can't do it.
and that's where we usually run into the issues, is because everybody's trying to find ways to still be self-centered
Right.
in a union that requires us to be selfless.
Right.
And yeah, I understand we can have our own hobbies, we can have our own, things that we do. They say you have your gifts and talents for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
have mine, and they sometimes take us in different directions, but there still has to be this understanding,
Right.
that the union matters more
Right.
than my individual accolades, than my individual success. Because without the success of the union, what good was it?
Right. It's like you get to the top and it's like but you've lost.
Everything that matters,
Right. I'm sorry, it's not worth it. So
right? And
not
that's
to me, I should say. For me, I'm not willing to do that.
and I'm not either. And that's why you have those, again, keep going back to this, but it's so important. You have those conversations and you
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you're both on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not aligned, get aligned.
Yeah.
Like I say, make sure you have that understanding so there won't be, because sometimes bitterness arises
Yes.
because you make these sacrifices and there's no real understanding of the level of sacrifice that really was made by one party or the other. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, and again, this is from a man's perspective, women don't think that men make sacrifices when it comes down to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like, well, you get to go to work. Ooh, thanks. You have a career. Ooh, I get to go to work all day long, and bring my money home, and I get a sandwich.
Buy some diapers, some milk,
Right.
and groceries,
And women,
and soap.
they want to be able to go out and earn a living, and they get out there and they realize really quickly that it really ain't all it's cracked up to be.
No.
I
My
say,
little part-time job, I'm stressing like, oh my God. Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
spoiled though. You have me spoiled. But
it's good to
anyway.
have careers. It's good to want to do and to build things, but there are just some things that are just more important.
Yeah. If you can, because like I know some situations the
Yeah,
wives have to go outside the home to help,
absolutely.
but there are times where you have the opportunity to stay home and actually raise your children. You just like, I don't want to stay home with my kids and I'm going to get a job because I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, because you rather pay somebody else to teach them and train
Yeah.
them and to, to nurture them, and then you get mad at the results.
Yeah.
Like your kids are the way they are because of the influences that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And you could complain all you want to. Again, you're not going to be able to do everything.
Remember we were talking about that? Like people that work in daycares or
Yeah, they
they'll
be killing it. The kids love
treat
them.
they
We love you
oh,
so much. You're
my
the
precious
greatest
baby.
teacher ever.
And then go home.
Kick their kid.
Get out of my face. Shut up. Like, wait a minute. What's wrong with this picture?
Right.
So.
So do I have to pay you to make you nice to your own kid, or I don't know? But
Oh, I hope. Wow.
but again, when you have two working parents, or if you have single parents and they're
Mhm.
working, the lot falls on somebody to raise the
Yeah.
kids.
Right.
It just does. It's the realities of this. The children still need to be raised,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be
Oh,
by
yeah.
somebody.
Somebody or something.
It's either going to be the daycare, it's going to be the school, it's going to be
The internet.
internet, or it's going to be
Grandma.
grandmas, aunties, somebody. I mean, yes,
Mhm.
you would prefer for it to be somebody that has the same values and the same views as you do, but let's be real. Even when you have your grandma raising them, because there are some things as you grow up and you have your own preferences and you have your own ways of doing things. Well, grandma gonna teach your child just like you was taught.
Yeah.
And if you had some things you wasn't quite in alignment with, now you gonna be mad.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna wanna complain and fuss, but that's what happens when you're not able to be in the home.
Yeah.
Whoever is around them the most is going to have the most influence over their upbringing, over how they view the world, over
Mhm.
their character.
Wow.
It's just the reality of it.
That's wow.
And that's why for men, like I say, it's kind of weird. Like before women became prevalent in the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
there was no opportunity for us to take maternity leave or parental leave or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen until women started coming into the workforce. Will we have liked to have done it? Absolutely. That's why you see so many men, like they say, oh, you got so many weeks of, time off that you can take after your child is born, they were surprised because so many men were taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
It ain't that we didn't want to be there. It's not that we didn't want to participate in our child's lives. It's not that we didn't, want to see them come through those early stages. We couldn't.
Wow.
you know so
Yeah.
it's just interesting how those dynamics work. Like I say, a lot of times it's assumed that men don't want to be, or they don't
Mhm.
care, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's so far from the truth. We really do care. We really
Mhm.
do want to be there. We want to be involved, but because of the responsibilities of trying to take care of the household from a financial standpoint, and if you're not well educated, or if you don't have a skill that would allow you to make a really good income, that means you're going to be working a lot, and you're going to be
Mhm.
working hard. You're going to miss those baseball games, football games. You're going to miss those recitals. You're going to miss a lot of those things. Or even if you're an ambitious person and you're really striving to get to those next levels, you're going to be working a lot.
Yeah.
So again, if you like to live well and you like to eat filet mignon, and you like to live in affluent neighborhoods, you like to drive expensive vehicles, that's going to cost you.
Right.
And again, that cost is not only, it's going to cost you time, and that
Mhm.
time is going to take you away from home.
Yep.
And being taken away from home, your influence at home is not going to be as strong.
Right.
That's just the
That's,
realities,
yeah.
because those roles still have to be fulfilled. Somebody still has to raise the children. Somebody still has to take care of the general needs of the household. Somebody still has to. Those things have to happen,
Right. Can't
and
get around it.
you're paying somebody else to do it.
Right.
And again, that's the price that you're paying. And that's why when you talk about from a biblical standpoint, godliness with contentment is such great gain,
Mhm.
because you won't strive so hard for worldly gain. You
Mhm.
won't kill yourself to try to attain, the goods of this world. You won't be driven by the lust of the eye and the lust of the flesh and the pride of life. But
Mhm.
you will truly have a God-centered view, and you will have a grounded view on what it means to be successful.
Right.
It won't be based on your bank account. It won't be based on the size of your home. It won't be based on the type of clothes you wear, the car you drive. It won't be based on the clubs that you're a part of, but it'll be really centered around the values and the things that God valued. And those are the
Mhm.
things that you'll be putting the time, energy, and effort into to make sure that those are instilled and those are being practiced and applied in your family.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we talked a lot about relationships, marriage, children,
Mm-hmm.
um, role placements, and all that. So
Lightly on all of them. We can go deeper, but we didn't.
yeah. Um, what about education versus just getting a good paying job? Do you think there's a benefit to just, if you don't go to school, you can still make it pretty decently? Because I know nowadays you're saying sometimes getting those degrees are just expensive, but people aren't finding jobs based on the degrees they have, or you can get a trade and make just as much as a person with a degree. So, what are your thoughts on that? Now, I don't have a degree yet, and you have a couple of them, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Uh,
I think it all depends. Um, Let me preface this by saying I am an advocate for higher education
mm-hmm.
when it makes sense,
Yes, because I
because
know we talk about this.
a
Like,
lot of people get degrees just so they can have them hanging on the wall and so they can have a conversation piece.
mm-hmm.
But I'm not trying to get a 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000 conversation piece sitting on my wall. That's one of the most expensive pictures you'll ever have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer. Firm believer. I get the education that I need to
Mm-hmm.
do what I'm trying to do.
So I think if you gonna your earning potential should be higher than the degree than what you paid for the degree, right?
Yeah,
So like
it
if you have
better
a
be.
potential of earning like 100 plus thousand or more a year, and you get like a $20,000 or $30,000 degree, isn't that a good deal?
That was extremely smart.
Because
But
some
if you get a
people,
$200,000 degree where you can only make a max of $50,000 a year after 15 years or 20 years, 30 years of service, that was not a
yeah,
good deal, because you can work at McDonald's.
that's what I'm saying. Like some people get these degrees just
It's
or
not a
for
good deal.
so they say they went to a certain school. Them schools are super expensive, but you not can't even earn you can't even earn what the degree costs in a year. You know, like,
Oh, you will never, you won't earn what the degree costs in a year. Let me just
well,
preface it by that.
I mean,
But I
like,
get what you're saying. Like, over time,
yeah,
you should have a higher ceiling. So, and this is where it comes into play when you talk about education versus just kind of like general labor working.
yeah. Like if you get a trade or get a 2 year or something, just something that.
Trading a 2 year, depending on what you get, truthfully, it can allow you to do pretty well, especially nowadays. Things are a little bit different
Yeah.
than what it used to be. First of all, you're going to need some type of skill with computers. If you can program, that's like gold these days. Any
Mhm.
type of programming capability or ability, and you really don't need to have a college education to be able to get into those fields, because everything requires some type of software, everything requires some type of code.
Mhm.
And if you're good at it, you can get good at it by just, learning it on your own free time, practicing and, doing different things that way, or like a lot of free classes, they offer for how to do like basic level programming. And over time, you can develop that skill.
Mhm.
And if you get good enough, somebody will hire you without a college degree. Now, here's the catch. You're going to have a lot of experience to offset not having the degree. So
Okay.
a person that comes out of college after 4 years will probably, with a computer engineering or computer science degree or software engineering degree, they're going to make as much or more than you when you
Oh.
probably have 10, 15 years of experience.
Okay. So if they get it faster, sooner than.
The degree allows you to accelerate some of the learning, and it also gives you a credibility that you sometimes cannot get with
Mhm.
just working in the workforce, because
Hmm.
it's an assumption that going to school, and it's true, there's certain foundational things that they're going to teach you and that they're going to train you and they're going to educate you on that you won't typically get on your own.
Okay.
um, some of it is fluffy stuff that you don't think really matters, and then there's some things that are really essential to you having a good foundation to be able to do that job at the highest level, and also to be able to continue to grow in that particular field, because things are changing so fast, and you really do have to be a learner.
Mhm.
And if you have that type of mindset where you're a learner, you have a growth mindset, you're willing to go in and try things, fail fast, and keep moving forward and keep challenging yourself, I think really in any choice you're going to succeed.
Hmm.
But your ceiling, your floor, is much higher when you get an education, depending on what it is.
Yeah. Then too, I think, does it depend on um how you want to live your life? You
Oh,
know,
that
like
that plays
basically, like if
a
you,
huge part in it.
because like if you get a nice house, without a degree, most of your time is going to be spent working to pay for that house, as opposed to you can get a degree, get a good paying job, and get the nice house, and it's easier to maintain.
Yeah,
You know, so
I think that's a misnomer though. People with degrees work hard too.
I mean, I ain't saying they don't work hard, but they make their shovel is bigger
That is true.
than a person that doesn't have, that's not making that.
It depends on what it is. Like I said, it depends on what degree you got. Because, again, and as an example, I can go and get, I'm not going to say the name of the degree, I can get a degree where I come out of school making $50,000 a year.
Mhm.
Only problem is it costs me $150,000 to get that degree.
That
So
doesn't seem like that makes sense.
exactly. So I'm going to spend the next 10 to 15 years paying on that $150,000 debt as if it's almost like a house note, a secondary
Oh,
house note.
see.
Whereas the person that doesn't have that particular debt, they might start off making 30, 40.
Mhm.
Let's just say they're going to work probably a lot more than me, but they'll catch up eventually, and they'll look better financially in that 10 to 15 year span, because they don't have that $150,000 debt looming over their heads.
Mhm.
And that's why, from the Dave Ramsey and all that stuff we've learned, and just from my own personal experience, you have to be smart
Yeah.
about, like, say, the education that you get. You do have to understand what is the earning potential and power of the degree that you're getting, and you do have to be realistic with yourself. It goes back to that dreamer.
I was just going to say, so what if you are really good at something but it doesn't make a lot of money?
Then
So
should be
you just
your hobby.
so should you so should you get a degree in what you're talented in? I mean, like,
Ah,
I mean,
Now you're gonna
See
go
this
into
we
a whole
we
nother
well,
area.
but you know, because people say, "Well, this is my purpose. This is my gifting. This is what I'm supposed to be doing." Like, but are you supposed to make a living doing that, or is it just something that you do? Like, how do you
Yeah,
know how to make your live? What do you make your living off of?
I think we lazy because the first thing that we do, well, we're like, this is my talent. This is all I.
This
This is
my
my gift.
gifts, my destiny.
And you, that might be a part of it, but that don't mean it's the sum of the whole. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like what we talked about before, where, and it's even similar to the story about the talents. You have something that you recognize that you're good at,
Mhm.
something that you realize that you have, strength in. And sometimes we don't take the time to realize all of the ancillary activities that are around it
Mhm.
that allow you to do that one thing well. And if you really are observant and you really are introspective, you take the time to really think about it, and you'll find that there are other skills that you're leveraging or you're using that will allow you to be able to make a decent living, even
Mhm.
a good living. You'll enjoy it. It'll still be a part of your gifting. It'll still be a part of the talents that you
Mhm.
have, but it may not necessarily be exactly linked to the one that kind of hook your bandwagon to, the
Yeah.
one that's going to make you a star, the one
That's
that's going
got
to
we. This is a
superstar.
conversation we have all the time. People
Everybody want to do the thing that's going to make them the
stand up.
superstar,
Yeah.
or make them stand out and make them appear to be special.
Yeah.
But those are not opportunities that everybody will get. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't have anything that you can't contribute. You have still a lot of great abilities that are wrapped up in that talent, that if you
Mhm.
just take the time to unbundle it, you'll realize that there's like 10, 15, 20 other things that I can do, and I can do it at the highest level,
Mhm.
and I can make a living that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's, to your point, that's a huge part of the conversation. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you want to live?
Yeah.
Like I tell my kids in a heartbeat, say, you don't make enough to live here.
Right. And like you gotta eat now. I'm
Right?
sorry. You got to.
I always tell them, like, look, you want to find you something that will allow you to live at a level that you're comfortable with.
Yes.
If you don't want to live like where we live, that's fine. I don't care. But you need to be able to make enough income where you can live how you're comfortable.
Right.
And that's where, if you see an opportunity that allows you to do something that you enjoy,
Mhm.
add value, and be able to earn a living that you're comfortable with,
Right.
then you get the skill. You go and you get the skill necessary in order to do that. And that's what education really is supposed to do. Is it's intended to give you skills that you can go and take into the marketplace, and you
Mhm.
can go earn a living.
Yeah. But it seems like people tend, like you say, to lean towards the flooded areas like music, dance,
Yeah.
sports, things that get that quick fame, and
Yeah.
it's so flooded.
It,
And it's like if you
it's
don't,
hard.
yeah,
Those are not easy arenas, and if you
no,
don't have a good work ethic,
yeah,
if
and those degrees are. I don't really. I don't know about degrees in those areas. It's just,
it's hard to make a living commensurate to what you're going to spend
yeah.
for that degree, especially in
Mhm.
those areas.
Yeah.
And when you look around, like I said, there are a lot of people in those arenas that do not
Mhm.
have the formal training. They do not have all
Mhm.
of the debt incurred through education and things like that. Some of them are just those unicorns.
Yeah. Just
They just got
overnight system. I'm like,
overnight.
man.
But they just how they fly in, they fly out,
True.
and they
Yeah.
spend the rest of their days trying to recapture that one
One
fledging
hit.
flame.
Yeah.
We talk about athletes. At the end of the day, eventually you're going to get older and you're going to have to transition into something else.
Yeah.
Some people are able to make tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions even,
Mhm.
over the course of their career. But the reality is some people don't even get past $500,000 over the
Wow.
course of their athletic career. And now they have to live the rest of their life either on the earnings from that short time,
Mhm.
or they have to go and find another skill set. So that's why you see some that were athletes that go into commentary.
Broadcasting.
Broadcasting is a big one.
Mhm.
Some of them go into
Coaching.
coaching. Some of them go into training.
Yeah.
And these are all things that are still related to
Mhm.
what they were doing,
Right.
but it doesn't put them in the spotlight. But it still
Right.
allows them to earn a good living and to be able to be around something that they enjoy and that they love.
Yeah.
So you have to just weigh that out.
Yeah.
Like I say, to each his own. I'm not going to tell anybody to go and get, this degree or that degree. I'm not
Mhm.
going to tell anybody not to. You
Right.
really have to sit down and count up the cost, because truthfully, it's a hit or miss.
Yeah, it's something that it should be thought about before you jump
Absolutely.
into any. I guess everything we're talking about is like it all takes. You have to sit down and talk about it,
Think
think
about it.
about it before you jump into getting married, before you have kids, before you
Hmm.
go to school, before you don't go to school. You know, it's just
Yeah, as you
choices.
decide that
You know,
who's going to do what.
yeah.
You know, you,
Like we were talking before, like say we get married, then the wife all of a sudden like, well, I want to go to school now. And,
yeah,
you start having like, well, what was you doing all this? So it's like so many different things come at you when you make different decisions. It's like, oh, now I want to do this now, but when you had the time to do it, you didn't do it,
true.
and so then when it's more inconvenient, then you want to do it. You know,
Yeah, but again,
it's
that's where you got to be practical.
yeah.
You got to be considerate. 'Cause
Mhm.
I've seen so many people just cripple themselves in a lot of different ways by making poor decisions based on irrational, thoughts and ventures into certain things because somebody else did. Again, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's greed, it's covetousness, or it's jealousy, whichever. Pick
Right.
one.
They're all
They
yeah. I'm
all
about to
kind
say.
of playing together on you, and they cause you to make decisions that are not healthy
Mhm.
and they're not necessarily for the betterment of the family, which we were
Mhm.
talking about at the beginning. And then
Right.
sometimes it's the individual, and you have to just take the time, think about it. Don't be so hasty. Don't be so quick to jump into something. Really sit down and count up the cost. The Bible says, like, before you go into war, like, say, you're supposed to see counselors,
That's
like a
right.
multitude of counselors before you, because some of these things, when you jump into it, I say
Yeah.
it's going to be challenging enough by itself, but
Yeah.
you want to make sure that the challenge that you're embarking upon is worth it.
Yeah. You should be prepared for
Hmm.
the challenges that are going to come. If you thought it all the way through, I think this was in that book, Thinking for a Change.
Yep.
Like, think the whole thing through. So when you get to certain things, you already know if this happens, I'm going to do this. If this
Hmm.
happens, this should happen. Not, oh, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's like, no, I already know what's going to happen or what I should do if I hit this snag in the road, or that just shows that you really have put the effort into your future.
Yeah, you actually care.
Yeah, go
Go
figure.
figure.
You can do that. You can
Right,
actually think things through, talk it out.
right. And like
Oh,
I say, to care about your own future,
mhm,
to really invest in your future, and not only yours, but in the future of those around you.
right,
And that's something that we just need to do a better job of.
absolutely.
We make a lot of hasty decisions. We jump into a lot of different things.
Mhm,
Um, we're very random, like I say,
mhm.
because of that. And when things don't work out, we lash out, or when things are working out, we want to thump our chest like we knew what we was. No, you did. You know what you was doing.
You just tripped your way into
Yeah, you
success.
fell into it, and it's not really success.
Ah,
you know,
yeah.
and again, that's where that you got to have that measure of humility. You got to have
Mhm.
those people around you that can help you stay grounded and that you can listen to, talk to.
Mhm.
Definitely if you're married, talk to your companion.
Oh yeah.
Have those discussions about where do you see yourselves, what's your future going to be, come up with a vision for your family.
Oh yeah.
And you don't stop there. Sit down and come up with a strategy for how you're going to accomplish that. Oh, don't stop there. How about you sit down and think about some tactics that you're going to use and you're going to employ in order to make
Mhm.
that strategy become a reality, and that strategy make your vision truthful. You got to
Mhm.
walk through it. You got to take
Yeah.
the time and really walk through it. don't don't do no shortcuts.
Yeah. Don't do
Don't expect nobody to do it for you, because they're not.
no.
Take ownership of your life,
Mhm.
with the help of the Lord. you know Lead.
Yeah.
Men,
That's right.
women, lead as well.
That's right.
Submit to your companion. Say, work with your companion.
Yes.
Vice versa, men, work with
Yes.
your companion.
Get on the same page.
Exactly, because that's what's going to allow you to have the success that you both want,
Right.
but you're just doing two different things to accomplish and achieve.
That's even when it comes down to parenting.
Absolutely.
Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Don't let the kids play you, because they will try it.
Yeah, we couldn't afford it. Too many.
Hmm.
He's already outnumbered. Had to be on the same page.
Oh yeah. Oh, in our earlier days, though, boy,
It was
it was an
interesting.
adjustment period, as they call. But thanks be to God.
Yeah.
Thanks be to God for His anointing and prayer and
Mercy.
deliverance. All we needed, all that stuff, boy. I tell you what.
Yeah,
But God is able.
because it was a learning experience. There's a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
things that we didn't know about ourselves
yeah,
that we were learning.
yeah.
A lot of things we figured, you just
Just,
and they're growing, and
mm-hmm.
you don't know what I'm doing. I'm just be honest. I didn't know what I was
Oh
doing.
no, I still sometimes be like, look,
Right.
what? Okay,
But thank God for people that
yeah.
care and that love you. Like I said, that multitude of counselors, people that you
Mm-hmm.
could call on and talk to, walk through it. They don't judge you, but they just really are there to listen and also provide you guidance.
Right. It,
Now you got to be humble,
that's right. I was
otherwise
gonna
you
say
be like, I know what I'm
humility.
doing. No, you don't.
No, no, honey, no. Just have a seat here and let me show you.
There's a lot of areas in our life where, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't know.
The older I get, the less I feel like I know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Man.
wow, you think you knew something. It's like, yeah,
No.
I don't know that as well as I thought I did.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more quick to listen and to observe and to absorb than you
Mm-hmm.
are to speak and to share and to edict.
Yes.
Because you
I'm
realize,
just
like,
gonna sit down here.
right, you're wise. No, I'm
No.
just listening.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, we are going through these stages like back to back.
Yeah,
I suppose
indeed.
that's how we had them. So what
Yep.
else should we expect?
But that's okay though. I mean,
Yeah.
overall, it's been a good. Like I say, a lot of learning on all parties' part.
Right.
But I'm thankful that, like I say, over time we've learned how to submit one to another. Like I
Yeah.
say, learn how to get on the same page. Learn how
Mhm.
to work together.
Yeah.
To accomplish things. Like I say, learn how. For me, just learning how to communicate more effectively.
Mhm.
And not just shut off and think that's good, but really
Yeah.
take the time to express how I feel, even when it's uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
then turning around and listening as well. Like I say, it wasn't easy. Still working through some kinks,
Mhm.
but I'm thankful, that you called me out on it, and that you made me aware of how it made you feel.
Mhm.
And again, taking that input and trying to just do better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same for me. Just knowing that knowing that I feel safe telling you how I feel, as opposed to, well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want them to be upset. And then when you were saying, hey, sometimes we will be upset with each other. We're not going to agree with everything. But just being able to still have a safe place to say how you feel.
Yep.
And sometimes you may be wrong, but that's okay. At least where each other are, so you can work it out.
Yeah.
So that has been a really good for me, and just having the confidence, like making each other feel um, supported enough to express our feelings and dreams and share our dreams with each other and really support each other to accomplish them.
Yeah.
That's big to me. Yeah.
I agree.
So like I appreciate that.
And the same.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've been there for all my major accomplishments in life for sure.
Yeah.
And I know that I wouldn't have been able to do it without your support.
Oh
And neither would I want to. Like I said, I'm not one of those ones that believe like I'm just gonna do it anyway. Like I was saying earlier, we have to be together. If we're not, then we gotta wait till we are, because again, the family, the union, the bond is more important to me,
Yeah.
even than my own hopes and dreams.
Mhm.
And yeah, it sounds cheesy, but that's where we have to get. And I'm
Yeah.
striving to continue to get there. I ain't gonna say I'm always there and everything, but I'm working on it. I'm constantly reevaluating myself, reevaluating my ambitions and things like that, and making sure they're properly calibrated for where we are. Not just
Yeah.
I am, but where we are in our life. Some things I couldn't do when we
Yeah.
were younger because
Yeah.
because of the children, and it ain't their fault. They didn't ask to be born.
Right.
That was the circumstance in which we were in, and I had to learn how to embrace that in order to make sure that I didn't become bitter or angry, or become isolated from the family. It just focused on the giving or the providing, and didn't really focus on the whole parts of my role as a husband,
Right.
as father. And
Yeah.
I'm quite sure you had the same
Oh.
thing.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Yeah.
we're at 50 something minutes, but
Oh my, we talking too much, Michael.
yeah, that's what
Mm.
happens when you have random conversations. You just kind
See,
of jump all over the
no
place,
discipline, no
no structure.
structure. But yeah, I feel the same way. Like, just you helping me go through that struggle. Like, since we are kind of opposite. Like, you're educated, and I'm not. Like, I don't have a degree. I'm not stupid, but I don't have a degree. So I struggle with that. You know,
Hmm.
just like, man. But you made me feel like you never made me feel stupid. Like, no, you still respect me as the person that I am today, and you've helped me blossom and grow even more. So just being able to support each other and not downplay each other or me feeling intimidated. I still see you as my husband, my friend, everything. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm just really grateful.
Yeah, and I definitely
Yeah.
value, like I say, your opinion, your view, and I need it. Like I say, because we are not the same,
Mm-mm.
and we don't see everything the same. So it's needful that we share.
Yeah.
Like I say, if we were exactly the same, then we probably would need to be together.
Oh yeah. Now I don't know which
I
one be
couldn't
worse.
stand
If
myself
you
being with
if
myself. No, I
if
couldn't
you
do
were
it.
like me, we would be a mess.
Yeah.
We would be a hot mess. Like where is this? I don't know. And if you
Yeah,
were
you don't
if
want both of
if
us
it's
to be like me either. That would not be good.
no, y'all be clashing over how straight the spreadsheet look. That line is off, and that is my
Yeah,
stuff. Be like,
it would be
what's a
good.
spreadsheet? What's that? It would not be. Yeah, no, you can't have two Michaels.
No, you can't have two Taleshas either.
Squirrel brain.
That would that would go too
Like,
well.
wait, what? Squirrel? Ooh, ooh. Like, bring it back. Come on, come
No. Well,
back.
but that's yeah. You see it in your kids. You got a healthy mix of both,
Oh Lord.
and just trying to again. That's why that being there, being present matters
Mm.
because you got two different characters coming together, and they don't see it exactly like you, but they got parts of both of you, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
recognize your part and try to properly direct it, try to properly guide it so it doesn't go
Yes.
crazy.
And you don't get mad when you see yourself like, oh, I
Oh
do that.
man,
Man.
yeah, definitely. But you work through it,
Yeah.
and again, that's where the being present helps because
Mm-hmm.
you're able to notice those things, and you not only see the worst of you, but you also see the best of you too, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of it all. Like I say, when you're able to watch um, the fruit of your labor. Especially again, I'm just go as husband, and we gonna end here because we get kind of long in the tooth. That's what random do for you. But
Mm-hmm.
as a husband, when you see, like say, those visions starting to come to fruition, when you see and for me, wife flourishing, when I see my children, growing up and coming into their own and knowing who they are and starting to go in their own path, like I say, that brings joy to my heart more than any degree I
Mm-hmm.
could have ever gotten, more than any other professional accolades I could have received if I spent more hours at the office, more than any house I could buy, car. That's the most important thing to me,
Mm-hmm.
is just the actual excelling of my family and my household.
Yeah.
And it's not for my glory, it's not for my name, it's for them,
Right.
and if we all, I'm constantly having to work and remind myself about these things.
Mm-hmm.
But if we all keep that in the front of our minds,
Yes.
as we're, engaging in our relationships, as we're, working with each other to, define what our vision is and starting to accomplish it, I think we all be just a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's,
It's worth it.
it's
It's
so
worth the
worth it,
discipline and the effort that you're gonna have to do, but do it.
right?
Okay, bye.
All right, so that's it. Thank y'all for listening.
If you made it this far, appreciate you.
All right, this was a long one. Sorry.
Yeah, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. If you have any topics you would like for us to cover or any questions, we're here.
And here's to hopefully another 10 good ones as well.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
And good night.
Well, that's our time. Thank you so much for listening. We hope this episode has further enriched your perspective.
Until next time, I'm Mike.
And I'm Talesha.
God bless.